Wow. All right, let's bring in Mike Ambola. He is of SciFiWire.com. He is a Star Wars superfan. I mean, who isn't? And he joins us now on the phone. Mike, give us your thoughts, your memories, your reflections.
I mean, you know, it's such sad news because, yeah, as you said, like millions of others, I'm a huge, huge fan. Star Wars was such a monumental, you know, film in my youth. I was 6 years old when I first saw it and first saw her on screen, and like millions of other guys, you know, she was like my first crush. She was a generation's, you know, princess in a lot of ways. But, you know, as I got older, I realized there was so much more to her. She was one of the funniest people you could ever interview or see being interviewed. And her books, you know, several of which were bestsellers, were so sharply witty and well written. The obit there that you guys just ran touched on her writing career. You know, she helped write some of Billy Crystal's funniest jokes when he was hosting the Oscars. She was one of the writers behind the scenes, and she worked as an uncredited writer on movies like Hooked in the early '90s for Steven Spielberg, Lethal Weapon. I mean, she worked in some really, really big movies because she was that well respected as a writer in the industry.
And no, it's amazing because most of the world knows her as an actress, and you've seen her in so many iconic films. I mean, besides Star Wars, When Harry Met Sally really sticks out. I mean, she had such a funny role in that as Meg Ryan's
great
best friend.
Role. That's
they would
very underappreciated role.
So funny. But really, she had such a talent for writing. For people who don't know, you know, what a script doctor is they've gone as far as they can with the movie, and they feel like, or a show, it's just not right. We need help. We need somebody who's so good they can come in and pick up this project, and they're so talented at writing they can punch it up to that next level. And to think that a star like her served in that role that's so intellectual is impressive.
Yeah. Well, you know, there was a little remembered series called The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles in the early '90s. George Lucas did that. It was about the young Indiana Jones. George Lucas, when he needed somebody to punch up the scripts and make them tighter and make them more personable and add more character, he called in his old friend, Carrie Fisher, to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a shame because she was supposed to have a big role, much bigger role in Star Wars Episode 8, which is coming out in December.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in The Force Awakens, she had a glorified cameo. It was more about Han Solo. But this next chapter, supposedly, Princess Leia, who's now a general, is supposed to have a much bigger role. So she would have been so much fun to see on the press tours for that, because she had reached that point in her life and career where she pretty much said whatever was on her mind,
right?
And usually was very, very funny, and she'd always have her dog with her, which would make it even more entertaining. So, I mean, it's such a tragedy on so many different levels.
Yeah, and with the new Chronicle coming out with The Force Awakens, the next episode, you know, there's so many more fans. It's brought through a whole new generation of fans for the whole franchise as well. And like you said, she was a big part of that. As now we go on and we find out who these new characters are, how they relate to the original cast. And like you said, she's in the next one. But then what happens from there, since she was going to be an integral part going forward?
She said, apparently, that she didn't think that Star Wars would be a hit. She loved the script, but she didn't think the rest of the world would get it. And obviously, it went on to become one of the biggest box office franchises ever. And she's a big part of the reason why. What a loss. Carrie Fisher, dead at the age of 60. She was also in that, you mentioned Harry Met Sally, but also Postcards from the Edge. That was that book, her semi-autographical.
Loosely based on her life, sure.
Right. Yeah, and Mike, I mean, it went into great detail kind of talking about the struggles that she had both as the child of two Hollywood actors and you know, obviously a huge musical star, what that meant to her, having her life, you know, right under a microscope, but also, you know, she struggled with mental illness through her life. She was very open about that. I mean, if you go ahead.
You're absolutely right about pointing that out, but I think a lot of people also forget how important she was to a lot of people who have mental illness. She talked about it openly and honestly and quite often. She never shied away from discussing her issues with that. And that really served as an inspiration for a lot of people to come out and discuss that openly, you know, because mental illness for a lot of people is something that's very hard for them to open up about. And seeing somebody the stature of Carrie Fisher talk about it and share it on the page, you know, and in interviews and in a film like Postcards from the Edge, where she basically put her life story out there in a fictionalized version, really helped a lot more people than I think people really understand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very true. Bringing new awareness to really bipolar disorder. Mike Avila, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.